Centre Block, one of the country's most recognized buildings. It's the crown jewel of Ottawa's Parliament buildings and a fundamental symbol of Canada. Designed in the Gothic Revival style by John Pearson, it's an architectural masterpiece. A combination of immense size and scope with painstaking artistry and craftsmanship. It's reminiscent of Westminster, and yet it's uniquely Canadian. Walking through the hallways of Centre Block is like walking through history. Each room and space tell a story about the Canada that was, the Canada that is, and the Canada whose history is yet to be written. Home to both Houses of Parliament, this building is often referred to as an icon of democracy. Within these walls, generations have helped to shape the Canada we know today through determination and defiance.
Again, I speak for all members of Parliament and for the Canadian people as a whole when I say that we are unreservedly determined to maintain our stand at Britain's side and at the side of the other nations that fight for freedom.
Through debate and discussion.
Today is a landmark for this government and indeed, sir, for all Canadians. Today, we are opening doors to opportunity and to equality in the workplace.
Hear, hear.
And through conflict and compromise.
Surely the worth of a government in the main is what it does for its people. The extent to which it improves the quality of their lives, improves their health care, gives them a greater measure of security, gives them a greater standard of moral values. That's what makes a nation great.
Here in the Senate chamber is where senators have met and debated national issues for nearly a century.
We have an obligation, it seems to me, to stand up for this country. We need to stand up for our provinces.
This is the role of the Senate, to provoke, to inquire, to make recommendations for improvement, to urge the government to consider our reflections.
It's also the venue for state ceremonies, including the opening of Parliament and the speech from the throne.
Prime Ministers believe that Canada's active participation in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is essential.
Events that are full of pomp, pageantry, and ancient traditions. Now Centre Block is currently closed. Since 2019, the building has been receiving a much-needed upgrade. And that's no small feat. It's a decade-long project with a completion date of 2031. The estimated cost is between $4.5 and $5 billion. Currently, there are more than 450 workers on the site daily, and that number will increase once the project reaches its peak. Bringing together a diverse range of experts in areas from engineering and construction to architecture, masonry, and restoration. It is the largest and most complex heritage rehabilitation project ever undertaken in Canada. At the helm is Jennifer Garrett. Since 2016, she's been the Director General of the Centre Block Rehabilitation Project and is currently an acting Assistant Deputy Minister with Public Services and Procurement Canada. That's the government department responsible for overseeing Parliament Hill's buildings.
The building was actually in great need of restoration before it moved out. It looks beautiful, and to the naked eye, when you walk through it, one might think that it was not in need of rehabilitation, but the reality is, if you look closely, you will see the leaks from the roof, the places where the building has suffered quite dramatic change. And if we hadn't intervened into the building, we would be actually putting parliamentary operations at risk.
For Garrett and her team, the to-do list is extensive. There are also leaks from water and heating pipes that date back to the early 20th century, like these found in the basement. The ventilation system was designed for a time when wood-burning fireplaces heated offices. It now needs to be replaced. There are damaged sculptures, crumbling mortar, and cracked stones. If left unchecked, some of those sculptures and the stone around them would disappear. The concrete that supports the building is also deteriorating. One example, this column in the basement of the Peace Tower. And there's the steel inside and outside the building. It's rusting and breaking. The building hadn't undergone a major renovation since it was rebuilt after the fire of 1916.
When you get a building that's, in the 100 years range and you have an active parliament operating in it, the only time that you really get to do little tweaks to the building are during recesses and the summer period. And that is just sometimes inefficient to do some of the major rehabilitations that had to be undertaken in this building after 100 years. So that's why there was a deliberate plan put into place to actually create other accommodations for the chambers and for parliamentarians and their administrations, so we could empty this building and do what is required to it.
The plan saw MPs leave at the end of 2018 and move into a temporary House of Commons chamber in West Block. And senators relocated to the Senate of Canada building, formerly Ottawa's downtown railway station.
I'm happy to say that our operations did a great job of getting us to the finish line, but even then we were having at the end elevators breaking, water infiltration. We had a substantial leak about 3 weeks after the building shut down that would have definitely had an impact on parliamentary operations. So we made it. We made the building run till the end, but it was on its really last legs, and we were really worried about it having a significant impact on shutting down Parliament, which would be absolutely a catastrophe. We want our Parliament to run.
The Centre Block Restoration Project is now in full flight. The key part of a decades-long rehabilitation and modernization effort across the parliamentary precinct.
The 3 stages of construction are really essentially phase 1 involves taking the building apart. Phase 2 involves building those base building features back up, like doing structural upgrades and putting the mechanical systems in place. And phase 3 is the beautiful part of the job. It's the finalizing the features, fitting up the spaces and how they're going to look, putting those heritage features back in the building. Where we are at this current phase in the project for the Centre Block is we've effectively finished that phase 1 and we're headed into phase 2. And what I mean by that is we've finished the extensive demolition and abatement program to remove designated substances. That finished in December 23. And now we're at the part of the Centre Block program where we're starting to initiate the structural upgrades for the building. It takes a village to deliver projects like these. We do have a plethora and a range of broad-ranging skills working on the program because we're still designing as we construct. We're flying the plane while we design it, and that's a deliberate strategy on our part. And beyond that, as the design continues to evolve and gets to be finalized, those later packages with the finishes and final finishes will be released almost like just-in-time delivery to the construction team. And that integrated effort allows us to optimize the schedule and ensure that parliamentarians get the building back as soon as possible.
On November 6, 1867, Canada's first Parliament met here in the House of Commons. This is what Centre Block looked like in those early days of Confederation. Back then, Ottawa was perhaps not the most sophisticated of places. Many had been surprised a decade earlier when Queen Victoria named it the capital. Canada's first Governor-General, Lord Monck, remarked that the place could never amount to much. Lady Monck's criticism was harsher, writing in her diary that they were much disgusted by the squalid look of Ottawa. I went on wondering how we could ever live there. Despite this apparent lack of enthusiasm for the new capital, planning and construction of the Parliament buildings began. Johanna Mizgala is the House of Commons curator. She knows more about the history of this building than just about anyone.
To understand the building on Parliament Hill and its context for the renovation and restoration plan, we really have to go back in time and consider the original building, which sat on Parliament Hill and was designed by Thomas Fuller and Chilian Jones. So that building was a neo-Gothic building, and the building that we know today shares some similarities in terms of its exterior, but it's a very different and truly 20th century building.
Centre Block officially opened in June 1866, but the Parliament buildings were not yet complete. And a year later, on July 1st, 1867, the Dominion of Canada was born. Along with it came an enhanced sense of pride towards Ottawa, its reputation as a muddy shanty town fading fast. The young capital was growing and transforming. Ornate, decorative, and innovative, many regarded this group of buildings as some of the finest examples of Gothic Revival architecture in the world.
So that building was on the site for about 50 years. And then on the 3rd of February 1916, there was a fire that broke out and essentially destroyed the building. Two architects were commissioned to do a study to see if they could actually rebuild on the site. So Toronto architect John Pearson and an architect from Montreal, Joseph Omer Marchand, were brought together. They had never met before this project, and the task at hand for them was to create this sort of proposal as to what could be done. Now, they really seized the opportunity to take into consideration that Canada had changed considerably from 1867 to 1916, and that really what was needed here was a building for the 20th century, and a building that would last for the next generations and the Canada that was to come.
With only the library still standing, Pearson and Marchand proposed a brand new structure. Their design was a neo-Gothic exterior with a distinctly modern interior.
They took into account the original structure from the exterior, so it looked very much like what had been there originally, but very much a Beaux-Arts 20th century building inside. So they wanted the architecture to speak to the people who would have to use this building, to tell them about the places that they come from, the people that they represent, and essentially the duty that they had to Canadians. They were chosen, they are elected to represent a much wider constituency than themselves, and they are brought together to make decisions about legislation which ultimately trickles back to those people.
By the fall of 1916, the reconstruction of Centre Block was well underway. But the country was still in the grip of the deadly First World War, and Parliament urgently needed a place to sit. The House of Commons and Senate would meet here in the newly completed Victoria Memorial Museum, now the Canadian Museum of Nature. Fossils, minerals, and exhibitions were pushed to the back of the room. For nearly 4 years, this was the home of Canada's Parliament while construction of Centre Block continued.
So construction occurred between 1916 and 1920. They moved back into the space in 1920. Construction continued over the next almost 10 years with the Peace Tower. And then over the years since then, the decorative program of the building has continued right up until the closure of the building in 2018, when we moved out so that we could restore and rehabilitate the building for the 21st century.
Architect John Pearson oversaw every detail of the building's design.
Pearson designed what we would call a total work of art, in the sense that not only the physical structure of the building, but the decorative elements, the furnishings, even the organization of space, was all about making sure that people understood what the building's purpose was, why it exists, and what happens in that building. So it is, of course, the space where the legislation of the country is determined, and MPs and senators have this very important role to play, and they need an appropriate space for that work to occur. The Beaux-Arts style is really a 20th century plan, and it's characterized by a hierarchy of space, a simplicity of sense of purpose for the building. So there's a hierarchy in terms of decorative elements, which means that the spaces that are the most important to the understanding of the place warrant the highest decoration and highest design principles. So when you go into Center Block, you are immediately to understand where you are. You're immediately to understand that everything to your right is related to the Senate, everything to your left is related to the House of Commons, and that there is an order and a structure to the space. So the highest decorated spaces are, for instance, the two speakers' offices, because in a sense it is their house. Then you would think of the chambers, because that's where the most important work happens, and then the Prime Minister's office and the Leader of the Opposition. And then there's an organization to the rooms that are for public functions, but as you go up to higher and higher floors and you get to office spaces, it really looks a lot like any sort of typical 20th century building of the time. There's a pragmatism to the way that decor is used. There's a choice of finishes. The sort of what we call the noblest materials are used in the most important places. So the kinds of wood, the kinds of marble, everything is conceived to give you a sense of this place and understanding. So as much as possible, Canadian, or at the very least North American, materials were used in the space to remind people of the places in which they come from to gather in Ottawa in these two chambers.
Pearson also included several themes that run through the entire building. One of the most integral is the ship of state metaphor. Here in Center Block's main entrance, the figure of Poseidon is carved into the central column of Confederation Hall. Poseidon is the ancient Greek god of the seas, storms, and earthquakes.
And then there is what's called a rose compass. And using the marble on the floor, there's a view of the sea, the land, and then ultimately the cosmos. And the idea, again, is this metaphor of the ship of state. The idea that no matter how rocky times might be, there is essentially order in good governance, and there is always somebody steering the ship and central to the helm. And when you're in the Prime Minister's office, there are nautical decorative elements throughout, because of course the Prime Minister is steering the ship. And throughout the building, there are little touches related to either fish or sea creatures or things that remind you of this metaphor. So the idea is that when you walk through the building, there are things that you'll see at the beginning, but you'll see them as you go through. And it's a way that you can be constantly reminded of these narratives about who we are, what we're doing in this place, what this place means to the the kind of underpinnings and structure of our country and our democracy.
An integral part of the Center Block Rehabilitation Project is protecting and preserving more than 20,000 heritage assets. Irreplaceable works that include paintings, murals, stained glass windows, sculptures, and woodwork. Many of these heritage assets have been carefully removed from the building and stored for safekeeping. The majority are undergoing restoration work. Some items cannot be removed from the building and must remain. They have all been protected. There's a delicate balance between restoration and the need to modernize. Kate Westbury is the heritage lead for the Center Block project. She oversees the conservation and heritage teams.
Initially, the role of the heritage team is one of very much in the driver's seat. So what we saw in the early stages of the project was removal of all of the fragile assets from the building. Anything that's very straightforward, such as stained glass, heritage light fixtures, anything that could fairly easily be removed is done first. And that clears it out of the way and allows other construction activities to take place on site.
Decisions to remove or protect are taken on a case-by-case basis. And in some instances, the risks in removing heritage materials can be greater than leaving them in place.
This is the ceiling of the Senate chamber here at Center Block. It's plaster substrate, and it was brought in and installed post-fabrication and then finished on site. The stenciling that you see here has quite a few Tudor rose motifs, and those are a lovely nod to our English heritage. We also have other motifs and medallions that you can see from the Senate floor, which include motifs such as the Irish harp, the lion, which is simple, the passant from the English throne. So all of these harken back to our connections with the British Commonwealth and the British parliamentary system. Over 170,000 sheets of gold leaf were used to gild this ceiling. It's a treasure here at Center Block. It's fortunately in very good condition. We've had it assessed by our architectural paint specialists, and they agreed that protecting in place was the right approach. Obviously, removing something like this could be quite harmful and invasive. And so we have essentially set up a very rigorous monitoring program for assets like this ceiling to ensure that we catch any issues early and remediate those right away.
For nearly 100 years, 2 massive chandeliers have hung from this gold-coffered ceiling. The fixtures are made of bronze, cast iron, aluminum, and white-flashed opal glass.
The chandeliers in this space are the 2 largest light fixtures that we have at Center Block. They were cast bronze and incredibly large, weighing over 3,400 pounds, and required a lot of strategic thinking when removing them for their safekeeping. So we had to produce a pulley system, get engineers involved to make sure that we could remove the fixtures safely, as well as not harm the building in doing so. So what made those light fixtures particularly unique is that they have one piece that's cast that obviously needs to stay intact, and that large piece is the majority of its weight, and so that was quite challenging. Those light fixtures are arguably the most beautiful light fixtures in Canada. So they've been removed. Right now they are currently in storage, crated and safely in storage. And we are actually working on their conservation and treatment plans as we speak. They will end up going to a lighting specialist where they will be treated and rehabilitated, and then slightly modified to meet our lighting requirements of 2023. And then they will be reinstated here. We'll have to go through that logistically challenging process again backwards.
Another challenge conservators face is removing murals that have adorned the walls of this committee room for nearly a century.
That room originally was the House of Commons reading room, and as such, the design motifs in that space reflected the media and the printed word and journalism. And so as a result, we have a really beautiful collection of Arthur Crisp murals that reflect that, which is quite nice. And they're miroflage murals, which essentially is a painted canvas that's been applied by adhesive to the wall, which made its removal possible. If it was painted directly onto plaster, for example, it would be far more complex. So we have agreed conservation from a local fine art conservation company who came in and they removed those works of art quite painstakingly, scraped gently to remove each piece and rolled them up. Then what ends up having to happen is all of the skim coat that's still stuck to the reverse of those has to be removed in order to safely roll them and then put those either in storage or take them off to a conservation lab for treatment. So quite an onerous process.
Here, in the office of the Leader of the Opposition, another arduous procedure is taking place: the removal of century-old frescoes. These were painted by Italian artist Attilio Pusterla in 1920.
The frescoes in the space are designed to reflect certain ideals of what a leader of the opposition should do. So there are things about justice and virtue and making sure that you're holding to the truth. William Lyon Mackenzie King was leader of the opposition at the time that the building was being designed, and he actually worked very closely with Pearson on the designs and things that he wanted to incorporate into the frescoes.
This face of an angel appearing to a knight is believed to be based on King's late mother. He chose to stay in this room when he went from opposition leader to prime minister in 1921.
Fresco is a kind of painting where the paint is applied to wet plaster, so when the paint dries, it fuses with the plaster and becomes part of the wall. So in order to restore those pieces, they had to be physically removed from the space. So just as the wood paneling creates a sort of piece of furniture in the space, those elements also have a specific place, and they have to be very carefully removed so that they can be very carefully put back into the original spaces.
Once conservation treatment is complete, the frescoes will remain in storage until they can safely return to Centre Block. There's scaffolding throughout Centre Block. It's obviously required for the work itself, but it also offers a new perspective on the building.
We are in the House of Commons chamber here at Centre Block, and the beautiful carvings that you see protected in situ here belong to the British North America Act series throughout the chamber. And what's really great is that we get this unique opportunity right now to see them up close and really get a sense of the high level of craftsmanship and artistry involved in sculpting something with such detail. And this is a really good example of where the removal of heritage building fabric could be quite damaging and too onerous and unnecessary at this point. So we have protected these in place along with a lot of the stonework here inside of the chamber. So we have an opportunity to do a thorough assessment of its condition, and then in turn we'll also be able to get an opportunity to do a thorough cleaning of this as well, because as you can imagine, over time the dust and debris that settles on these decorative elements is quite significant and really affects the legibility of these sculptures from a distance. And so we're getting an opportunity to clean all of that dust and debris away, and what we'll see is a beautifully kept sculpture post-rehabilitation.
Another heritage asset that will be returned to Centre Block is this beautiful fabric ceiling. It's been a part of the Commons chamber for nearly a century.
The ceiling, quite different from the Senate chamber, was actually a painted textile. It's a linen, and it was all removed as a part of our early fragile assets removal project. And that was to get it out of the building and into safekeeping so that it could clear the way for the demolition and abatement process that is required. There's quite a bit of asbestos in and around the ceiling here in the chamber, and of course if we can get that out of the way, then we allow that abatement process to take place. It was a complex removal in that we had to develop all sorts of tools and all sorts of apparatus in order to safely remove and roll that as we removed it, because of course we had some incredibly long strips of textile that needed to be removed all in one piece. So the ceiling has all been rolled on large oversized tubes, and it's been very well packaged because of course it still could contain some hazardous materials such as asbestos, and so that will be thoroughly cleaned and of course conserved prior to reinstatement here in the building.
The stained glass windows of the Commons chamber were added in the late 1960s.
So around the time of the centenary of Confederation, Speaker Lamoureux commissioned a number of projects for the building that would relate to this 100 years of Parliament. One of them in particular were the stained glass windows that were commissioned for the chamber. He commissioned the Dominion sculptor at the time, Eleanor Milne, to do a series of drawings that would eventually become the stained glass windows. What she had in mind was to create a window for each province and territory as a means to remind the parliamentarians again of where they come from and why they're in that space. So each one has the official flowers and certain symbols that are unique to those places within the country. What we know about the stained glass windows, of course, is that the glass itself comes from all over the world. And that too is a nice little metaphor for Canada as a country, that people have come here from all over the place and that they are all represented in that space.
So there's a tremendous amount of documentation and tracking that we need to do for this project. And so we've developed this linked floor plan where we've assigned a number for each window and a color code. They'll tell you what kind of window it is, and then the outline to tell you what kind of installation it is. Whether it's
Meet Mark Thompson. He leads a team of conservators who are working on preserving the stained glass windows of Centre Block.
All of the stained and leaded glass throughout the building is being worked on in one way or another. For the most part, everything is being restored.
And that's no small feat. Centre Block houses 250 stained glass windows, and some contain more than 100 panels. The restoration process starts with disassembling the entire window piece by piece. It's a painstaking process.
We spent about a year on site just documenting everything, photographing it, measuring it, writing reports on it, and so on. And then we spent the next 2 years, part of the fragile assets removal team, removing all of the stained glass and leaded glass. The windows in Centre Block, a lot of them were installed into stone reglets, which is a very old method of doing it, where it's basically just a channel in the stone and then the lead is carefully maneuvered. And then some of the windows are in wooden frames and then some of them are in metal frames. So those are quite easy to remove, but the stone reglet stuff is more challenging. We've never lost anything in transit. So for this we had to make 800 crates, and we made them ourselves in our studio. We're one step ahead of the abatement crew, and we went around and removed all of the stained and leaded glass, crated it. We shipped it to the McCoon Center at Pink Road in Gatineau. And then the studio restoration work started. What we do is we go to Gatineau and we get about a month's worth of crates to work on. We bring them to the studios. We work on them. Once they're finished and signed off on, then we return them to Pink Road, grab the next batch of crates, and we just are going to be doing this till about 2026.
The stained glass windows are now undergoing careful and complex restoration work. It includes fixing any damaged glass, re-leading, and cleaning. The lead is oxidized and can be dangerous. The windows are taken apart underwater, so nothing becomes airborne.
So this panel has been completely restored, has had all of the lead replaced, and we did the same process that we did for the other windows, where we document it on site, we crate it and transport it to Pink Road, we retrieve them from Pink Road, we get them here, we disassemble them in a bath of distilled water with different additives to help with the work, and then we reassemble the window on a rubbing that we've made of the old lead armature before we've taken it apart. This panel is from one of the House of Commons windows, the Ontario window. It's the northernmost window on the west wall. This is one of the lower lancet panels, and of course it has the trillium flower as the motif. Normally when this gets reinstalled, it's a vertical panel, but I just thought it would be better for presentation at eye level like this, where we can see everything.
Sometimes these century-old windows contain broken glass. As conservators, Mark and his team are tasked with holding on to as much of the original material as possible.
If the glass is broken, we glue the fragments back together with a special optically clear epoxy called Hextol NYL-1, and it's specially formulated for glass. It's very strong. And because a lot of the glass that did break was very, very thin, we'll often reinforce the Hextol piece with a backplate. If we need to replace a piece of glass, we're very fortunate in having a very good stock of mid-century handmade European glass that is no longer available in Canada. So we're able to match any of the base colors that have been used by the stained glass artists to make these windows. And it is a challenge to get a lot of stained glass materials. But I've bought out different studios that were closing over the years, and I have a tremendous palette of the stuff that I can use to match any of the glass. It's just a terrific collection of glass, and getting to work on them, you really learn a lot. It's tremendously educational. Like every window you learn stuff from, but these ones are terrific, and it's really a pleasure. But also just a sense of, this is a really important building. We're all super chuffed to be part of the crew, and we really feel like, yeah, we can do this, and we're gonna nail it, and we're really gonna do a great job, and we're just gonna be responsible for it, and we're gonna put it right.
As part of Centre Block's restoration project, a team of experts have been brought in. These are rope access specialists. Their job is to protect the 4 historic pinnacles located on each corner of the Peace Tower. It's a tall order, and not for the faint-hearted. The pinnacles are being temporarily wrapped and secured while construction on Centre Block continues. Monitors are also being attached to each pinnacle to measure vibrations. Keeping the Peace Tower safe is of paramount importance to the team here. After all, it is arguably one of the country's most iconic landmarks. History is etched into the walls here. Construction of the Peace Tower began after the fire of 1916 destroyed the Victoria Tower, part of the original Parliament buildings. Designed by architect John Pearson, the tower was the last part of the building to be built. It rose section by section. During this process, Pearson carefully studied the design, and he produced sketches and study models at different intervals. He was determined to create a tower fitting to serve as a memorial for those who had lost their lives during the Great War. It was a heavy responsibility, and it's been said that Pearson even dreamt of the tower and, in his own words, lived with it so long, day and night, in his desire to produce a suitable design that met both his aesthetic and engineering vision. Some believe the Peace Tower was architect Pearson's crowning achievement. There were other names considered: the Victoria Tower, the Tower of Victory, the Tower of Peace and Victory, but Pearson was adamant. It could only be the Peace Tower. The tower houses a 53-bell carillon. It's a unique musical instrument and a complex feat of mechanics. A huge grouping of bells played by a musician known as a carillonneur who sits at a special wooden keyboard. Striking a note, pulls a metal string that's attached to the clapper of one of the bells, causing the bell to sound. Each bell sounding a separate note. The bigger the bell, the lower the note. The bronze bells were installed in 1927. They were cast and tuned in a bell foundry in Croydon, England, shipped over to Montreal and then to Ottawa by train. Here we see the bells being unloaded on Parliament Hill, the tallest more than 2 meters high. The Peace Tower Carillon was inaugurated on July 1st, 1927. It was also the Diamond Jubilee of Confederation. A crowd of 60,000 people gathered to join the ceremony and hear the carillon for the first time. It was also the first live national radio broadcast. It was reported that several million people tuned in.
It was thereupon decided to install the carillon as the crowning feature of the Memorial Tower and as the most fitting symbol of the peace.
Then Prime Minister Mackenzie King called the carillon the voice of the nation. Now, nearly a century later, the voice of the nation needs to be fine-tuned, refurbished, and restored. And that takes people like Caitlin Rouse.
I'm a project technician and I manage scope, cost, and schedule for the scanning and partial disassembly of the carillon. There's two aspects to that. The first is structural intervention to the Peace Tower. So in order for us to advance that work, we need to remove the heritage assets within the belfry. And then secondly, this is the first time that we have the opportunity to come in, since they were first installed in 1927, to restore and refabricate select carillon components for general age and wear, and also to improve the sound quality of the instrument. Royal IJsselbouws is a conservator that is based out of the Netherlands that restores and refabricates bells, and they were selected to remove and restore the carillon bells. When Royal IJsselbouws came and did their initial site review, they decided that only 22 bells would be sent over to their workshop, and then all the clappers, so 53 of them, went along with the 22 bells, as well as the keyboard and the mechanical action system. The largest bell is over 10,000 kilograms in weight, and we had to remove the 3 largest clappers to ship overseas. So one of the challenges that we overcame was removing those, and doing so we had to create a hoisting procedure to get them down safely and out the building. So to get them from Ottawa to the Netherlands, we partnered with the Canadian Armed Forces. So they were shipped from Ottawa to Trenton, and then from there they got on an airplane and they flew all the way over to Eindhoven, Netherlands. The keyboard is going to be refinished and restored, and then the mechanical action system is going to be newly manufactured. So there will be no modern updates added to the carillon. Rather, we are undoing interventions made over the years to better match its original state, just to ensure that it can be played on for the next 100 years to come. The carillon was commissioned to commemorate the fallen heroes from World War I, and it's also directly tied to our cultural identity as they are rang during ceremonies and celebrations here on the Hill. I feel as though I'm a part of Canadian history. I remember back as a co-op student, we were taking a tour of Centre Block, and one of the stops was going up the elevator to the observation deck where we're standing right now, and you get a little glimpse of the bells as you travel up. And little did I know that 5 years later that I would be assigned to that project to have them removed. And so I'm really proud to be a part of a piece of Canadian history.
Located on the second level of the Peace Tower is this space, the Memorial Chamber. It's both beautiful and poignant. Long considered the heart of the tower, this solemn and sacred room was originally created to honor the Canadians who had died during the First World War.
The Memorial Chamber is a space of contemplation, so you're meant to happen upon it when you come from the building and you make your way over inside, up the stairs into the Peace Tower. You're physically in a separate building, and you come down a little corridor and then you come into the light, and it's a very bright space because of the stained glass windows that are several stories high. The ceiling is also multi-stories high, so you're meant to feel lifted up, but also as though you've come into a kind of sacred grove. Pearson thought about it like you would be coming in from a forest and you would come to a space in the middle through the dappled light that was coming through the trees. The ceiling design is sort of these drop fan arches, which give you a little bit of that canopy of tree idea, but you know, it's called the Memorial Chamber, so it's not a religious space in the sense that it's not a consecrated space, but it does have that significance in terms of reflection and paying tribute. So it's got a very different flavor than the rest of the building, and it's designed to be quiet and to spend a moment thinking about the sacrifice that those people have made. If we think about the Peace Tower as the spine of the building, then the Memorial Chamber really is its heart. If parliamentarians are the ones who ultimately make the decisions to send people off to war through legislation, they are really duty-bound to pay tribute to those who pay the ultimate sacrifice for those decisions, and they need to hold a space for them as they make those decisions and don't take them lightly.
At the center of this space is the ornate altar of sacrifice. It's made of Hopton wood limestone, the same type of hard stone used to mark Commonwealth burial grounds. Inscribed on the side is an excerpt from English writer John Bunyan's famous novel and allegory, The Pilgrim's Progress. And resting upon it is the First World War Book of Remembrance, containing the names of over 66,000 Canadians who died during the Great War, the war that was meant to end all wars. Every name of the fallen is beautifully preserved, handwritten onto vellum, a type of durable parchment. This book took decades to create and was finally completed in 1942. By then, Canada was in the midst of another horrific world war.
Pearson, when he envisioned the space, of course, he never imagined that there would be subsequent military conflicts, so it was envisioned really around this altar for what they referred to at the time as the Great War.
Today, there are 8 altars, each holding a different book of remembrance. Together, these books contain the names of the more than 120,000 Canadians who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving their country. Since 1942, at 11 o'clock every morning, a guard in ceremonial dress marches in front of the central altar and bows. He then turns one page in each book of remembrance. It's a moving and solemn ceremony. The room is closed to the public, but family members of the fallen are permitted to be in the chamber to view the name of their loved one.
When the building closed and we moved over to West Block, we moved the books of remembrance over to West Block. So that ceremony of the page turning continues to this day, but in a space that's not the memorial chamber, but a suitable space to still continue that tribute. The books will follow the House of Commons, so when the House of Commons chamber moves back to Centre Block, the books, we will have a closing ceremony in West Block in the Room of Remembrance, and then the following day for the page turning ceremony at 11, the books will be on display in the Memorial Chamber.
The plan is to return all the heritage assets to their rightful places. In our next episode, we bring you to the steps of Centre Block, where the front lawn of Parliament Hill is now a massive excavation zone.
In the hole behind me that you see is about 23 meters deep. We've removed about 40,000 truckloads of rock out of the hole.
We'll update you on the work that's been completed in both chambers.
Now we're coming from the government lobby and we're heading into the chamber. Likely not recognizable, not at all like you would have remembered back before pre-closure.
Learn more about the building's much-needed facelift.
There's about 365,000 stones on the building, so it is a very, very large-scale project.
And spend time with Canada's 6th Dominion sculptor.
And this is a great example of an uncarved block. So these are some of the original blocks that were left uncarved at the time.
All of that on the next installment of CPAC's Inside Centre Block, The Restoration.